Ahoy! Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another Acting on Instinct video for Command & Conquer Rivals. This series is designed to help you understand how the game works and to help you improve as a commander. Today I wanted to cover the basics of how to punish a double harvester tech build. Now this particular build is when your opponent jumps straight into making two harvesters in a greedy attempt to gain as much Tiberium early on as possible. Ultimately, the thought process is to rush the expensive and powerful tech units like Titans and Wolverines as quickly as possible. Their win condition therefore is to get to their big tech and just dominate the battlefield with it. So that's what a double harvester tech build is, but how do you punish it? Now the first step to countering this strategy is of course to spot it. This is why I always recommend building some kind of scouting unit before you build your harvester. Riflemen, militants, war dogs, or even missile laser squads are good enough for scouting. That said, you don't necessarily need to approach their harvesters. If you hear them build two units and nothing shows up on the pads, chances are they've just built a second harvester. Once you've identified that they're using this tactic, you need to consider your next moves carefully. Playing against the double harvester tech build is a race against the clock. If the match goes on too long and they're able to build their big tech units, there'll be very little you can do to survive. It's counterintuitive, but your goal is not to destroy their harvesters as quickly as you can. Instead, you need to focus on keeping the pads charging at all times. Never let that bar turn yellow for long. This sometimes means you actually need to back off a contested pad until you can completely controlling it, letting them charge the missile for you. But of course it's important to keep the nuke bar moving and vital that you successfully launch the first nuke. If you can, you need to apply pressure to their harvesters too. The aim here is not to destroy the harvesters necessarily, but rather to force your opponent to spend his Tiberium on protecting them, rather than saving it for his tech units. It's best to try and use a combination of units that will force your opponent to build a new response. This can be as simple as having a buggy protect your bikes from missile troops. It sounds daunting, but consider that your opponent has a population cap point taken up by a harvester, meaning that you can comfortably maintain a unit advantage. As usual, use 2v1 scenarios to keep them building new units constantly. Know your unit's strengths and weaknesses, and how best to apply pressure. Once you have the first missile launched, you cannot afford to relax. Keep charging the missiles and keep applying pressure to their harvesters. If this is all done correctly, they should be starting to get to their first tech units a short while before the second missile launches. All you now need to do is hold the line, body block to prevent them from contesting pads, and ensure you control that second missile to win the match. These fights can be intense until you get the hang of the timings for pushing their harvesters and for keeping the pads charging. But with practice, you can have it down to an art form. If you found this video helpful, I'd love it if you gave it a thumbs up, as this helps me know what content you're enjoying and what's useful to you. Be sure also to subscribe to be the first person to know when new content goes live and to keep on top of your game. I don't receive any form of payment for making these videos, so if you're really enjoying them, please consider making a donation to my digital tip jar. I've put the link in the description below. This just helps me continue to make content and helps to keep it ad-free and in bite-sized length. So what other topics would you like to see me cover in this series? Let me know in the comments below. Happy sailing, and see you on the battlefield!